Like,
Some
Danny
attention.
Boyle knows what he's doing. I mean, so I guess I'm supposed to feel this way, and this is laying the direction, laying the groundwork for a film like a sequel that's gonna be a little crazier than this one, or I mean, not a little, maybe a lot. Maybe it's gonna be like a really wacky fucking film.
Well, you're not going to have to wait long to find out. I think the sequel's coming out at the very beginning of next year.
On August
apparently-
18th, 2024, during a talk in Edinburgh International Film Festival, it was confirmed that DaCosta would be directing the sequel, and principal photography began the following day. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's releasing
it's-
in January of 2026, so you're not going to have to wait long.
Different director, but apparently they were shot back to back. So I mean, at the very least, we're getting 2 movies. They want to do
But,
3, I know that, but they may not do 3. They may do 3. We'll see. But we're getting 2 at least.
This film will probably make its money back. I think I had a $60 million budget, so it's probably going to make more than that. Whether or not it makes enough to justify making more, I guess, is another thing. It feels like a reminder the person making the next one directed the Marvels. I know that she's done other stuff, but that's the film that she made.
Yeah.
well, and
And also Alex Garland, who, at this point, again,
I'm just not
is
sure
wildly...
if this will be
unpredictable.
working well for average audience members. I think that
Yeah.
many people can enjoy it, but a lot of people are going to be weirded out and confused and don't know how to feel. And in retrospect, I feel like the trailer snatched all the best looking shots and coolest shit in the movie, and then devised
Well, I suppose
a
it's
trailer for
interesting
something
to
that doesn't
think
exist.
the trailer uses the music and sort of the structure for the rapid, montage of cutting back and forth between the present and the past and everything. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's very useful in a sense to have a trailer that you can make that is comprised of essentially montage stuff that in context it's not contextualized in the same way that the 99% of the footage you would ever see in any trailer is, where it has to be from like the actual plot. If you get what I mean, you can make a really good trailer if you have a whole bunch of shit that's just like 2-second shots as part of some montage, compared to if you're making it out of an actual trailer that can only be comprised of essentially plot relevant scenes.
Yep.
In retrospect, it makes a lot of sense why it was so effective. It's like, yeah, because a lot of the stuff that's in the movie is barely in the movie. Like, it's there, but it's not really a part of the story.
We didn't know we were getting like 2-3 movies in.
And I don't think it's gonna. No, I don't think the response. I think that the critical response, it looks like it's been positive, but that doesn't surprise me. But I don't know that the audience response is going to be super universally positive.
Well, who's going to want to see it again, and who's truly going to be... Well, so out of curiosity, I don't know if this is someone I should have asked at the beginning to compare to now, but just out of curiosity, like I said, the 5 of us here, because Cap's gone, who is recommending this?
I wouldn't recommend it, really, to anybody. Honestly, I just, I'd recommend other movies.
I recommend the first movie. Movie 2.
I'd recommend,
Movie 3, no.
Later,
That's pretty
sure.
much it.
But
No,
that's
I meant the first. I meant the first.
Oh, you mean the
40
first
minutes
part of the movie?
I would recommend that. If you're a zombie fan, there's stuff there. You're not going to be bored, but you're going to be pissed off.
This isn't a Doomer thing, by the way. I just genuinely don't think that a lot of people would like actually enjoy this that much, like on average. That's all I mean by it.
I think the ending scene is going to kill word of mouth for sure, because that's people's lasting impression. I think most people would like the first movie, but the way it just gets derailed is going to leave a really bad taste in your mouth. So it's hard to recommend off of that. It really
That's a whole can of worms, right? That's setting up of like a whole potential trilogy, or if not that, like another film at the very least, where it's like maybe this could have benefited from just being self-contained, where it wasn't fixated on setting up a sequel. And then maybe we wouldn't have had that fucking Power Rangers ending.
Yeah,
maybe the film would have benefited from that.
We've seen these examples. I can say like Arcane season 2. How many times does a story get damaged because they're setting up other things? Mandalorian season 2. It's over and over again. But this movie definitely would have been stronger if they focused and cared about the movie, just splitting it up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe here would be an easier way to explain it. Thunderbolt sucks. It's really bad. But like the reality is that you could recommend that probably more easily than this film, because it's more likely that someone would enjoy that film, if you get what I mean. like almost on average, even though
Well,
I
that's the
don't think
point
it's
of the
very good
question,
at all,
is
and I don't
like-
think it's worthwhile.
There's many demographics you could talk about recommending a film to, and it's like, do I think this would be great for general audiences? Not really. Do I think this is great for zombie fans? Not really. Do I think
No,
this
not
is like
really.
good for crazy film connoisseurs of distant and wacky auteurs? I'd be like, ugh.
They would, yes, they would like it. I think
Probably, yeah.
I think so, because it's got unconventional shots, some unconventional story choices, messing with tone, like those sorts of things tend to go over well with that kind of crowd.
That's fair enough. I respect that. I don't agree, honestly. Like, I wouldn't recommend Thunderbolts. I thought it was so fucking boring that I just
No,
I wouldn't recommend
He's
it.
not saying that. He's not saying he would recommend it.
I would recommend 28 Years Later. I would just say check it out. I would recommend 28 Days Later more. I would be like, watch that, and then watch this other film from the same director. And you know, they were doing a different thing with this. They set up more movies. Like, the ending is kind of bizarre. You may like it. I laughed. I kind of liked it. I kind of went with it. I would recommend it more so than Thunderbolts.
Explain
I think
to
you
explain
might
a
have
bit more,
to-
like the point that I make with that as a because if you ask me which of the two films you think is like better, well, unfortunately,
The
it
two
is a little bit of an
films. The two
awkward
films.
conversation.
There's three of them.
But,
So shit.
but what
You gotta
I mean is
acknowledge
that I think that Thunderbolts is awful. Again, like, to be clear, I think that film sucks, and I'm not willing to give it the points of like, oh well, it's it's one of the better ones. Like, I'm not interested in that. I think the reality is that a lot of people, devoid of any sort of additional information or like conversations about that film, like the very lengthy conversation we ended up having about it, is more likely to walk away from it with a positive feeling towards it than they would this movie.
Well, I don't know if this helps,
That's
but
kind of the impression I get.
I'm more than happy to stake that I think 28 Years Later is better than Thunderbolts, but I would have thought, John, you'd agree with this, that you take the average person randomized, what do you think they're more likely to enjoy, this or Thunderbolts?
This.
Really?
It's not even a question for me. Yeah.
I
I
would say the reverse. Like, it's not even close.
On any level. I really don't. It's just so fucking dull. Like, and there's just no punchlines. There's not even a benefit of like having punchlines in the scenes, because
I get it, but like,
it's never built up to a joke.
I don't know which of us would be more cynical here, because the reason why I would think it would be the reverse is because Thunderbolts is way more conventional to follow, hits beats that are like super easy to consume, and then gets you your ending of like, yay, we beat the badness from happening. Like, it's so, the conventions are so much more straightforward. This film, I think the pregnant babe, that whole sequence alone would be enough to throw the average person into a state of like, that was weird.
I think you might avoid boredom though more with this, because you might find all of it fascinating. What the fuck is here?
Yeah,
and
there's
an
the
aesthetic
intrigue
that can
element.
carry you. Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on this, because I think Thunderbolts you might just be bored to death. Where with this movie you might be confused, like, why is this movie keep switching? But there's certain elements that keep you interested enough.
Sure.
Thunderbolts offers you nothing. But this movie, like, it seems like bits of it are broken. Obviously, we've gone through it scene by scene, and there's stuff that I think we'd probably all doubt will ever get fixed in any second film. But I think to a casual viewer, someone who's coming in for the first time, will see A, that it's unconventional, which can actually work in its favor. B, that it's quite mysterious, even where it doesn't necessarily mean to be, and the intrigue value will help. And C, it's not like generic superhero action flying around punching people. It's like there's a third of a good film in here, unlike Thunderbolts, where there is
not that it necessarily matters, because I don't really value this either. But you know how like sometimes you see, I think it's called like the cinema score or something. Yeah, the cinema score, which is meant to be based on the audience response to films, rather than the critic response. And I think it's meant to gauge generally how people feel about that film. So How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake, got an A, which obviously, is the second highest score you can get. And when I see that, I'm like, yeah, I guess I can see why that would be the case. Even though I'm not happy with that, obviously. This one got a B, which, as I understand it, is that it ain't great if you get like a B by this metric. And when I see that, I'm more like, yeah, I can see why it would get that because it is not hyper conventional, and I think that often works against movies, in terms of their broad appeal.
The way of looking at it as well at CinemaScope, I mean, I don't follow those things particularly closely, but I know Movie Cinema does. Like his way of looking at it is normally for a CinemaScore thing. If it's B, it's usually B tends to mean a C or below because CinemaScore is naturally it's polling people on basically day of release. People who are most keen to go and see it are more likely to have a positive reception coming out. These are invested people. So you have to sort of downscale it for a general audience because a general audience that didn't go to see it first night might not be as interested going in. And so they might be put off by it more than the dedicated fan is. So a B is actually not good at all.
No, B is it's like video game reviews. A 7 isn't good, not when it should be. Because of the way that things are skewed. And so, but I guess the point being when I say that is that, not that it actually matters that much. It's just that when I see that, it's like, yeah, that corresponds more with my expectations of what people would think of these films. I think How to Train Your Dragon would be perceived very positively, the live-action remake, despite being sludge. Meanwhile, something like this, it's like, yeah, I can see people walking. I don't think confusion works in favor of a film, typically. I think that Thunderbolt's basically saying, this is about mental health, this is about mental health, this is about mental health, actually means that it's more likely to be positively received compared to a film that is more esoteric.
And maybe Thunderbolts, there's a bit of a misunderstanding in terms of like our own, the perception here between us all, because especially with that Retarded Avengers episode we did, a lot of people consider, and John, this is going to hurt, and I'm sorry, a lot of people consider Thunderbolts to have some great artistry in it, like storytelling artistry.
It's genuinely like an inspired story.
We found it baffling, but a lot of the YouTubers that we've covered before like made great efforts to explain that Thunderbolts was like watching, the MCU finally come back and give you something meaningful. It was like,
do you think that overlaps with the idea that people think it's like a mental health thing?
Yes. As well as just a handful of editing choices, like, when she bursts through a mirror into another world, it's like, that's enough to make people go, oh my god, look, camera stuff. That means it's good. Simple. Oh my god, a shot where she's, like, taking out people in a hallway, and it kind of looks like their silhouettes, kind of like the way that the void flaps them into the floor. That's direction. That is consistent, thematic flimflammery that means it's a good film. Oh my god, that one scene where she acts with David Harbour, that's also why the film is now excellent instead of just kind of shit.
That was I like that scene, but that's not enough.
No, it's not enough at all.
Yeah, like you need more than that. And I'm not saying that the film is not without merit, but like when I was watching Thunderbolt, I was bored like at least 90% of that movie. When I was watching 28 Years Later, I wasn't bored. I mean, there was problems with it, but every scene I was like engaged with it. I consider that a plus over just being like consistently bored throughout the whole fucking thing, which was my experience with Thunderbolts.
I would also say that I was there was no point in this film when I was bored, but if I saw someone else who watched the movie and said I was bored by it, I wouldn't be like shocked. Yeah. I think would be sort of the way that I would explain it.
I came out of it knowing exactly why someone would, like, you can see it, right? But even for me, like, the part with the mom, we all in the back of our head were thinking the dad should still be a part to some degree, right? So even through that, I was waiting for payoffs. So,
I think a normie might watch the film and be like, "What was the point of all that? Like, what is the point of this?" Compared to again Thunderbolts, where it's like, it's about like overcoming mental health or something. That's what it's about.
I think for normies, Thunderbolts would be more appealing because especially you just say the words mental health, effective.
Yeah.
Give it so much praise.
Well, then again, for film connoisseurs, I think that appealing to normies because it fucking failed big time. So, like, to be fair,
with 28 days later or 28 years later, I think you can headcanon. Headcanon might get you filmed until you realize that they're not fucking doing anything with the payoffs. There might be enough intrigue there to get like a film fan stay on board.
Well, and for the record, like I said, not only do I think it's better than Thunderbolts, but I would rather always roll the dice with something like this than another sludge movie that barely pays attention to conventions, despite the fact that it's desperately trying to, photocopy them vaguely so that it can survive the average viewer's interaction with it, as opposed to a film that might just challenge you. Which, by the way, pregnant zombie giving birth, when that scene started, I was like, okay, I'm not just gonna, like, let's see where this goes. But it got too weird, and I was like, never mind.
I can't remember. I think John, I think you said it. Like when she was kind of pain of the earth, that kind of worked for a second. I can see that buying them. It was the palm. It was the we're sisters moment. It's like I can't get that image out of my head. It's this entire film is filled of moments that why didn't you just do it this way? It would have made more sense, added continuity, added character, but they chose the way that just jumped the shark every.
And I was waiting for a moment like that because I thought like Alex Garland is doing another 28 something movie. It's like he probably wouldn't have agreed to this unless he could figure out some way to like take it a step farther. Right? It's like how do we evolve the nature or whatever, and then like how do you explore that? Well, what if an infected gave birth to a baby? And then it's like, is it an infected baby? Is it a zombie baby? Is it a regular baby? I thought he would probably have considered that and be like, oh, that's a cool idea. And so I was kind of expecting something like that. Not explicitly that scene, but I was just like, he's going to do something here where we take things a step farther. And then they did that. And then the hand touching thing was just a step too far where I felt like the zombie was just had a little too much cognition where it's just like, oh, this birthing this baby's really hard. Oh, I'm going to hold this regular human, and just for like a way to sort of take away the pain of this birth, like that was a little too much to swallow. I was just like, you could have done this better.
And the fact that it didn't grip or like crush her hands or anything like that. They literally had this soft, gentle moment. You can't buy it.
Yeah.
No.
I wish they had just like
brings of power vibes from that, like making the orcs all fucking soft and pussified. Like I don't want that with my zombie.
I think there is a little bit of that, that kind of thing. You're meant to, you take this sort of character or antagonistic force, and you sort of introduce this moral complexity.
Yes,
but you're originally meant to think like they're zombie. Well, not what the 28 days later like their minds are lost, and now they're just this other creature. But now you're all of a sudden meant to think like, oh, they're kind of humans again. Like, I don't really buy that.
It's not
like
the
once they're gone,
they're
gone. Yeah, I think that's what was set up, and now to just introduce this thing later on is just jarring. I would have rather if like the mother and the son and maybe the military guy, they came by and they found the woman and she just gave birth and they didn't do anything. They didn't intervene. The baby was just birthed, and then the mother just took the baby. Like, you didn't have to do the hand holding thing, I feel like.
No, I completely agreed, because we all agreed at the beginning of the kind of function.
Yeah.
Not willing to give it up right off the bat. There could be something here, but then it just completely goes off the with the sentient hand palm holding. And they still want to have their zombie jumps too. They kind of wanted both. And I thought it was really embarrassing.
Yeah, because I mean, I like the idea of a baby zombie being born. It's just like what happens there, and it's just like whether you go one way or the other, affected or not. Like either way, that's just interesting territory to explore. And I like the idea of a baby being born immune, or I don't know if immune is the right word to use, but just like, the mother is infected and then you have a baby that's born that doesn't have the virus. Maybe they can still get infected if they're bitten, but like in any case, it's just interesting territory to explore. Because Last of Us did that. Well, I mean, that's the whole. Ellie is sort of hinged on that sort of thing, where Ellie's mother is bitten, and then she gets Ellie's mother births Ellie. Like Muller was saying, like are very close to the time where she's bitten, where you're just like, okay, well, did the virus have time to circulate through her whole body or go into the baby or the fetus or whatever? Like what? Like would it have made a difference if she was bitten a little bit earlier, or whatever? Like in any case, Ellie was born, and now she's this person who is immune to the virus. Like that, it's just like natural territory that you would want to go to, where it's just like, what happens in this case? Like, I'm not surprised that Alex Garland went there. The execution of it was just flawed. I didn't like that.
Yeah, because at least with like Ellie and Blade did it well. Also with his mother, because it's close to the birthing time, right? But we got to see Ellie as a character. We got to see Blade as we got payoffs within their stories. This baby had like 2 scenes. Like it's just there's nothing, and we're gonna have to wait to another movie to see. And let's say the kid, let's say it's like 5 years old in the next film or whatever they're gonna do, and we don't actually get to see the town. Just missed opportunity after missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, Blade is a good example because the core of that character hinges on like a pregnant woman bitten, and then she gives birth to a baby, and it's just like, what's the nature of the baby, right? And then the baby grows up to be Blade, and he's half vampire, half human, right? So he's a day walker, right? He can walk around. He has the benefits of being a human, but also the strengths of being a vampire at the same time. And then he's sort of in a prime position to fight against the other vampires.
Yeah, even Berserk did a version of this better, because the protagonist was from a corpse that was hung, so he was like almost cursed. The people around him, the mercenaries, considered him like a cursed baby. How did this even happen? You know, so but it worked in terms of his storyline. He's got like, I wouldn't call it justifiable plot armor, but if you're gonna write a character with plot armor, I like the way they did it. Where it kind of made him like destined, like he's not bound by the same, like Mark the Cyborg would explain it better to me, but they do that birthing aspect so much better in so many other stories, from Berserk to The Last of Us to Blade. To see it just kind of just thrown away for the stupid palm to palm scene was annoying here, because just all the different ideas they could have, if they just really fleshed them out, all this seemed half baked, and it was because he was prioritizing other things. And I don't know, like all the setup for the other movie, instead of it stripped character that should have been here. We should have got more of the doctor. The mom should have actually been a character. And what they did to the dad, I don't know how they can. I don't, even if they have 2 movies, I don't know if they could fix that. It just doesn't jive with what they established with his character.
No, I mean, the best they can probably hope is that you just sort of move on and forget it by the time the second one comes out. You just pretend you didn't see the dad not do anything all the way through the previous movie. But the birthing thing is such a weird one, though, just structurally, because like none of the movie is about it. It should be like maybe one of the most important things to have ever happened in this world ever. But it's not that is not the subject of the movie. The movie, it occurs, and then we just carry the baby around, and then we get to the doctor, and the doctor asks a question about it. But that scene isn't about the baby. That scene is about the mother. And the mother, even though the scene is about her, is still, as is mentioned, not much of a character anyway. And then nothing happens after that. And they say, well, okay, maybe we're going to address the baby now. No. Now we've got to run away from the giant penis again. And there's still no baby conversation. Then we'll just leave the baby hanging on a wall and pick it up in the next movie when it will actually be relevant. And it's just it's a strange thing to have thrown in with no comment almost. And I wonder whether there was a way of including it, keeping it in the film, with actually like acknowledging how significant this thing is. I'm struggling to think of one. Maybe if the mother is pregnant or something, like she gives birth before she dies, and this baby is like the thing that you get, life coming from death. Maybe that's the moment to address it if you orchestrate it like that. But it's such a weird little like side quest that doesn't really go anywhere yet.
They seem to be doing away entirely with the second movie thing, where like people just are born with a natural immunity to the virus without having to be born from somebody who is infected or partially infected or whatever. That if you want to be really immune to this thing, that you need to like be born to an infected person. I think that's what they're just gonna go with, and they'll acknowledge fragments of 28 weeks later, like the stuff, but not the actual core stuff of like what fortifies you against the virus.
Yeah, and it'll be weird to see
Where
how
the
they
alphas came from.
like. Do they choose to do it in a fairly grounded scientific way, or as seems to be the direction of travel? Is it going to be very, very fantastical? Is it going to be like This is the child of an alpha that was maybe made by the Doctor, but like by virtue of being an immune child born from an alpha, and the alphas can control other zombies, does the miracle child, like the Night King in Game of Thrones, raise her arms and all the zombies just follow her orders? And like this is how we cure humanity with and then like you delve back into the fact that the like weird miracle child's mother wasn't really a rage monster while she was giving birth. So like, are you exploiting some humanity beneath the rage? How do we work all of that in? Like, I think, but perversely, I think this is why I would recommend it more than I would recommend a Thunderbolts type movie, is that there are still kind of intriguing unanswered questions, and though a lot of them haven't been handled very well, and some of them might not even get addressed, and I'm not confident the answers will be satisfying, they're still kind of interesting. Maybe it's just that I'm so jaded with Marvel movies that I find this more interesting than those.
No.
But I do find it more interesting than those. I wouldn't recommend it as a good film, but I'd recommend it as something to keep an eye on, kind of thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. A group of friends can find a lot of debate and breakdown from the movie, where Thunderbolts is probably just like silence on the car ride home most of the time, right? It's just something like this. There's much more down for your brain to just chew on. But even if it's got its problems,
yeah.
I ain't recommending Thunderbolts to anybody, but
what other zombie movie am I going to recommend to? I mean, there's not that much that's really good. Like, I would just say I'd recommend, like you were saying, I would recommend this with an asterisk, where it's like, it's not as good as the first one, but check out the first one, check out this one. I think it's worth a watch. It's got some problems. Yeah.
We mentioned Rec earlier, just even for the sake of the chat.
Yeah.
Talked about all the problems. What are some of the betters? Like, just from your opinion. I remember you mentioning Kingdom, Mahler. I downloaded that recently. Check that.
I like season 1 a lot more than season 2. I wasn't a fan of how it ended.
Yeah,
but
season 2 was a bit lame.
Season 1 was really solid.
Is it worth checking out season 2 or just?
I think it ranks high enough in the spectrum of zombie content to check out Kingdom, I think. I mean, you'll know anyway. You just check out season 1, and then you might get hooked, and then you'll just decide if you want to keep going or not. But it's funny, the idea of like, well, what am I going to recommend for zombie stuff? Me, I'm just like, I just won't if there's not good zombie stuff. Go check out other things for now. Wait, because I was hoping for a lot with this film, and I was quite disappointed. When the Bone Temple eventually slithers out, I'll just be like, I don't know. I'm not even that jazzed at that point.
So what are you excited for then for the rest of the year?
Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four. And I'm going to watch them all 10 times.
What if we exclude all 3 of those, because they're going to be great? We all know that. So what would you go for after that then?
Well, like I said, this probably was, off memory, the most anticipated film I would have had this year. I'm trying to think of what else has even been out this year that I would have been looking forward to, because I wasn't expecting any. Like, Warfare was just something that people kept bringing up, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'll check it out. What else has happened this year so far?
That is okay. What else? What
Thunderbolt.
I mean, not a lot. I went to Smile too. I thought that was all right.
Well, I guess
something that we had.
Final Destination, I had an anticipation for, but we're not watching that yet. We'll get to it. I need to see. There's a film called Havoc, because it was filmed in Wales and it has Tom Hardy in it, and someone said it was good.
Isn't that that's the Raid guys directed that one, right?
I need to see that. I can't remember if that was this year or not, though.
I think I remember that. That was this year, wasn't it? Because I remember some headlines saying that this movie will put Wales on the map, as though Wales isn't already on the map.
No, it doesn't do that. I mean, it's
no, it doesn't do that.
Half of it. I mean, no disrespect. Half of it leans so far into VFX. The film itself is acknowledging that it's, where some of the camera moves are just like so unrealistic, where to its credit, it's not trying to fool you. It's fully embracing the fact that like this is a very VFX heavy take it or leave it. But also, there's the other half of it is like pretty impressive practical stuff, like well staged action scenes. Tom Hardy's a really good performer, like not only acting but just like the physicality of it. Like, so there is that as well. It's not the Raid. If you're going into it thinking it's going to be like the Raid, no, because there's just way too much VFX to respect it on that level. But you know, it wasn't that bad. I thought it was all right. You just have to like respect it for what it is. It uses a lot of VFX.
I remember seeing the trailer for The Amateur. I haven't continued with that though. I think I need to hear some people tell me it's worthwhile before going any further with it. I want to see the Phoenician Scheme. That was the trailer we talked about when we watched Until Dawn, which I didn't have much anticipation for Until Dawn, but I was still curious, and that turned out the way that it did.
I can't say I'm like eagerly anticipating the F1 movie, but I'm kind of interested in watching it. I'm sure that'll be okay.
The F1 seems just really generic, and it's like, oh, I'm an old guy, and I've been doing this for a while. And
I mean, I just want to see like,
like you're an old guy. Like I can drive faster than you can.
I'm not interested.
It feels very much that, but I'm honestly okay with that if it doesn't. You know,
like I said, I just want to see shots, really cool shots of like with the camera mounted to the car. That's kind of all I want to see it for. I mean, it's kind of like in Top Gun, right? It's like, you know, the shots of it being mounted to the side of the jet. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not expecting a whole lot out. I mean, the reality is it's just not been swell so far.
No.
You know, like, it just hasn't been.
Well,
and like, oh, but what about this one movie? It's like, nah, don't go doing that shit, all right? Like, it's just not been great so far. It hasn't. Come on.
It's just like, what about Naked Gun? It's like, fuck off.
No.
No. Oh, Weapons. That's one that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I feel like Naked Gun's going to have a couple good jokes, but it's mostly going to be underwhelming.
Probably.
What about the Long Walk? What about the Long Walk, the Stephen King movie?
I don't know about that one, but Life of Chuck I want to see as well.
What were you saying, John?
I'm kind of intrigued by the Long Walk. I mean, it does seem very like a very simple premise that they might do a lot with. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but I'm kind of intrigued by the trailer.
Yeah, same.
Hey, Mario Kart World is kind of fun.
Finally got Alien Earth on the way, fellas.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, the Predator movie, there was the animated one though that came out a couple of weeks ago that I've not heard much about.
I've heard nothing but bad about.
I was going to say nothing but bad things of what I've heard. So
okay. But that new one, that'll be great. I'm sure it will be.
It's looking good. Is the conclusion there, huh? Just
it is. You know what would be cool is if there were no human characters and it was all just aliens, but we can't be doing that in a major Hollywood film. That's not allowed. There always has to be a human. I mean, I know it's a robot, but still. But that way it means that there'll be, English language dialogue instead of there being no dialogue, except for, alien language. That would be fun, but oh well. And I mean, of course, July's going to be such a great month, guys. I'm so fucking excited. For Superman, I'm so fucking jazzed. It looks so good. Everything about it looks so great.
Red panties, can't wait. Oh man,
it has been. Look, all right. It's not going to be good. Like I hope it is, but it won't be.
It won't be.
I'm almost. I feels like there needs to be the reminder that with the amount of like bad superhero films that have released over the last like 5-6 years, basically non-stop, it is an unreasonable position to be like particularly expecting quality. I would say at this point, that is like one that is not based on precedent.
For films, 100%, but in terms of shows, Penguin just confused.
Yeah, shows.
What the hell happened there? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, is everybody expecting the Ironheart's going to be like amazing? It's whoa, shit! The Penguin came out, and that was pretty good. So I mean, Ironheart's got a chance.
It's going to be a special type of cringe. I really think it's like an Acolyte or one of those.
I ain't watching that shit. I don't want to watch that show.
I can't. Give me more Riri. I just love Tony too much that her existence just annoys the fuck out. In addition to the terrible stereotypical portrayal and I like, there's few characters that I despise more than she just doesn't.
I don't remember enough about Wakanda Forever. Like that is truly, I think that is the number one most memory hold, like flushed out of my brain Marvel movie of the last few. I feel like I remember more about Eternals than I remember about Black Panther. I usually forget that it exists.
I feel like with Iron Man, I mean, like Tony Stark is at least an MIT graduate, and with like Ironheart, they're just gonna have this kid who just naturally grabs all this stuff, and it's just like, nah, come on, you got to go to school for that.
Well, I think
he was also
she's not going to naturally
right?
grab it. She'll probably steal quite a lot of it, I think.
He was also in his 40s, Tony.
Yeah.
You know,
with years of support from his parents to have the understanding. Where did she?
Don't you enjoy though that seeing Iron Man deal with magic? That was something everybody wanted to see, and it never happened. But now it's going to happen in Ironheart, so that's really exciting.
It's going to give it all to her. It's crazy, and the biggest thing with it just comes down to her motivation. Like Tony's is so noble. Like watching him go from she fucking built the suit because her teacher said she couldn't do it. Like, it's just, what are you doing, man? She's villainous. The whole scene of her blowing up the cops, and all they had to do, I feel like I've said this on so many streams, it's worth repeating. The Bucky and Cap scene in Civil War, where Cap is stopping Bucky from hurting anybody, just making sure there's no casualty. That's all they had to do with Riri and the crazy Wakanda. Instead, she blows up the cops, and Shuri says, "Nice one, Riri." You obliterated her character on the spot.
I forgot all of this happened in that movie. I completely forgot all of this.
This is what I'm needed for. I'm like a Riri historian at this point. I really I can't stand that character. Everything about her is a slap in the face.
Historian.
I mean, I know it might be getting a little bit repetitive of like, oh yeah, you guys don't think that any of those movies are going to be good. It's like, yeah, but like, do you understand how like bizarre it is to see like all of this, like, oh man, this is a really exciting time. It's like, why? What's the reason? Like what? Because both of these companies have told you that these movies are going to be significant and important and better. Not like they've ever said that before. Like it's just marketing. It's all marketing, but it's like it's working. Well, we'll see. I guess the box office projections starting to sink a little bit, which I don't know, man. Like we'll see how it all pans out. It'd be really nice if it's good, but I don't know, man. And I'm not gonna lie, yeah. When you see, I don't know that I was, because it sounds like you kind of went into this one with like reasonably decent expectations, Mupes, going into this 28 years later, like that you were a little bit more optimistic about this one.
Yeah,
I can't say I was as much, but that was because I hadn't even watched 28 Days Later until very recently.
Really?
So I don't know that this one necessarily contributes as the disappointments often will to the sort of growing pessimism, but I don't know. I assume that this hasn't exactly bolstered your expectations for this upcoming suite of movies. I'm like, we're getting back on track. Hollywood's so back.
You know, it was a contender for potentially like my most enjoyed film of the year, and then it sank pretty fucking far down. So it's a little bit like, oh.
Well, for me, it was more beyond the fact that it was just a sequel to 28 Days. Like, I knew Danny Boyle was directing it, and he was working with Alex Garland, who, like, I mean, they're both a little bit hit or miss, but working together, I thought, hey, they might actually make another hit here. So that was a big appeal to me, going to see.
Yeah.
I think Arcane dealt immense damage to like my ability to rely on like prior success as something to give me like real confidence going forward. Yeah, like the reality was going into Andor season 2, I was nervous. And it's like, well, why were you nervous? I mean, like they made a great first season. Is there any reason to think that they would dramatically do worse? It's like, well, unfortunately, yeah, there kind of is, because that's what happened with Arcane. Obviously, we kind of know that now, like what happened there that explains that. But I do think that Arcane has dealt some serious damage to my ability to get like super duper hyped for anything. Because I just don't see the point, really. It's like you don't lose anything by entering into it with more trepidation and then being in a position to be pleasantly surprised, rather than really hyping yourself like, oh man, Superman's going to be like the best thing ever. It's like, yeah, what if it's not though?
I don't think I
which
can
is
control
not even
that.
like
Arcane
though.
season 2 is
If-
so bad that it's turned Friggy into a nihilist, is what we're saying.
100%. If Arcane
Right.
can do that, it's a series that should have been completely aware of what they achieved in the first one. Beyond the special, the visual, the writing in season 1 is fantastic. And if they are willing to piss it away the way they did in season 2, literally turn Vi into an NPC and just turn like Heimerdinger out of the fuck, like everything wrong with that season, it's hard to even fucking like describe. But if you can do that to Arcane after what they achieved in season 1, you can do that to almost any story. That's what freaked me out about like way back in the day with TLJ. Like if you can do that to fucking Luke, everybody's open. Like everyone's fucked. We're screwed. I remember warning my buddy like Game of Thrones season 8, they might fuck that up too. Like you never know. Anything is open. It's open season if you can do this type of character. And this is just another example of it. There's no reason to have faith until you finish the story and see that it was good. They haven't given us any.